wanted to talk a little bit about one of my current fraud cases and why Paliscope offered me something that I had never had the ability to do before. Often in organized complex fraud cases, you have a multitude of players. So you have the fraudsters themselves, and they can be a network of individuals connected to one another. You might have somebody who's kind of running the scheme, and then you have the person's underlings that are responsible for various different tasks within the big organized complex fraud. But in addition to that, you have your victims, your witnesses, you have other people that are part and parcel to the whole investigation that has to be explored. With the development of Paliscope, what I was able to do with one of my fraud cases, I had 35 individuals identified in a major fraud. 15 of those individuals were suspects in the fraud, and the other 20 people were people that had come forward, or people that I would call victims or witnesses, that they are part of or were a part of this scheme. One of the things that Paliscope gave me the ability to, rather than conducting internet searches individually and creating a whole bunch of folders on my desktop, I would have a case folder, and inside that case folder would be the names of all the individuals would be a folder, and inside the folder for each individual would be whatever information I had about that person and how I collected it. There might be screen captures in there, there might be forms from the bank, whatever information I wanted to store in those folders that I was able to locate or identify about that person. What I did with Paliscope instead was I built an investigation about that fraud. I was able to create 35 persons cards inside that investigation. In addition to, I had IP addresses of devices that were used, taken from email headers. I had cellular phone numbers. I had credit cards. All of those things went into my investigation as objects, as a part of the evidence that was collected and or somehow was related to either a suspect or a witness or a victim. And ultimately, I ended up with an investigation in Paliscope with dozens of cards, whether they be evidence cards or persons cards. And the nice thing about Paliscope, as I'm collecting or doing my research on the internet about each one of the individuals, or about lookups on the IP address or lookups on the phone number, I was able to capture and record all of the searches that I was doing, anything that I found that was related to either a person or to a piece of evidence. And I was able to store all that in one central place, inside a case, inside Paliscope, and I could then spend the time linking all of the pieces of information. So I could link, this individual was linked to this IP address, to this phone number, to this email address, and he victimized these 3 people. In a normal context, at least in the policing environment that I work in, we don't often have software tools or resources that are able us to be able to take in one visualization, take links of pieces of information and visually link them together so that very quickly and efficiently, whether it be in a report or just on my screen, I could instantly pull up any one of the people involved in that investigation, see who else they were connected to, what those connections were, and what pieces of evidence they were individually connected to that related to the investigation as a whole. That I didn't have the capacity to do before using Paliscope, and thanks to Paliscope, whether it be a complex case like 35 people fraud, or even more people involved in some sort of case, or even if it's just a relatively handful of number of people, the ability to do searches on all of those people on internet sources, third-party tools, collect that data, link or connect that data to others within the investigation is really something that Paliscope is a powerful tool for using and to be able to do. I didn't have the ability to do that before Paliscope, and now I do.